Let me start with a hard truth. By the time you walk into an important meeting, the decision has already been made. The only question is, were you part of shaping that decision? Many of the people that I work with over-prepare for what is going to happen in the discussion. The slides, the arguments, the performance, the executive presence, but the real work on influence, that happens before the meeting even starts. At the VP, SVP, senior executive level, the meeting is rarely the main event. It is simply confirmation of what has been decided ahead of time. And a lot of time it's for show. The shaping of a decision happens earlier in one-on-ones, in quiet conversations with the CFO or the COO, in the draft of the pre-read that somebody sends around a couple days before the meeting. So if you are only relying on what is going on in that meeting, then you are already too late. And here is why that matters. Because when you walk into a meeting and you realize that you're behind, it shows. You're defensive, you're scrambling, you're reacting instead of taking the lead, and that erodes your authority faster than you realize. So I would like to talk a little bit about influence today and how you can concretely influence decisions. And I'd like you to think about it in three areas or three arenas of influence. The first one is before the room, so before the meeting. And this is honestly where most of the real leverage happens. You seed ideas, you pre-wire stakeholders, you frame the narrative, you understand which positions, who would agree with you, who is going to challenge you. You get a read on the objections that could come up. You get a better understanding of the context in which the decision is being made. That is really important. And a lot of people tend to underestimate that. So that is my key point for today. Of course, there's always things that happen in the room. This is where you can influence by presence and authority. It's how you open. It is how you listen. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you challenge. It's how you present your arguments. And then, of course, there's after the room. Because we all know that even if we're in a room and decisions get made, a lot of times something happens afterwards. So decisions don't always stick 100%. You have to follow up, reinforce, and make sure the momentum continues. And that is really the reinforcement I want you to hear. If you are over-investing in preparing the time in the room, but ignoring what happens before and after, then it's going to feel like an uphill battle. And it's one of the things that we work on extensively in coaching is influence and spending time and energy influencing the decision. And that happens especially before and a little bit of after. So the meeting itself, yes, it's important, but it is a stage where a lot of the work has already been done. So I want to talk firstly about some missteps. The first one is treating the meeting like a main event. Polish the slides, but you forget the pre-work. The second misstep is you over-prepare content and under-prepare relationships. And you think that logic is going to carry the day, and it won't. A lot of people I work with are very rational, very data-driven. And yes, data is absolutely important. But people are human beings and they make decisions irrationally. So don't always think that data is going to outweigh emotion. Doesn't always work that way. My third trap here is don't assume also that your authority is going to guarantee influence. Yes, you might have a big title and it will 100% open doors, but it won't secure the outcome, or not always. So the consequence of ignoring these things is you're actually blindsided in the meeting. Your credibility takes a hit. Your peers stop seeing you as somebody who shapes outcomes. Remember, we're trying to add value, shape outcomes of our company or our department. Your boss may stop relying on you for alignment. And your team, also pretty frustrated if your agenda is not accepted. So when you ignore this, also things like this long enough, you find yourself on the sidelines and not in the arena. And it is really important for you because decisions are not tactical. They are defining. We're talking about budget, strategy, resourcing, organizational decisions, M&A. All of those topics shape the company's direction, and they shape your scope of influence for the next 12 to 18 months, maybe 2 years. And so when you're not in those pre-conversations, you are not shaping the game. You're simply being handed the playbook or the decision that somebody else has made, and that limits your impact. And I really want to insist upon this because we and the people that I work with tend to underestimate this. Because you're expected to shape outcomes. You're expected to have an agenda. You're expected to have a point of view and a vision. And you're expected also to fight to push your agenda. So if you take nothing else from today's episode, just please remember that influence doesn't happen in the room. It happens before. So I want to also walk you through how you can engineer influence before you get into the room. And there are 5 steps. The first one is to map your stakeholders. Who is making the call? Who is shaping the decision? Who is the other people who are influencing the decision? So really think about that. And don't mistake titles for influence. The second step is to seed or test your perspective early. Float your ideas. Circulate a pre-read. And make sure that when you are in the room and you speak up, it is not the first time people know what you are talking about. Because people also don't like to be blindsided. And also, when you're seeding your perspective and seeding your ideas, you're also getting a better understanding of where the objections could be, which is my third point, is to anticipate resistance. Write down the objections, especially in that feedback and you're testing things up front. Address them before the meeting. That way you are not blindsided in front of everyone else. Step 4 is to align with priorities. Tie your case directly to the CEO agenda, the board agenda, or the company narrative. If it connects to what's already being signaled as important, resistance is much lower. If you come in with a brand new idea that nobody has heard about and nobody understands how that ties into the bigger agenda, I guarantee you it is going to be an uphill battle. Step 5 is to build momentum. Your goal is very simple. By the time the meeting starts, the decision should feel inevitable. Objections have been dealt with ahead of time. Allies have been aligned because everybody in the room is not going to be an ally because everybody's there, has their own agenda. And so the meeting is simply confirmation, not conflict. So why does this matter? This is where leaders stumble. And I know it sounds like playing politics, but that is half the game. And you can do it authentically. The reason why I'm insisting on this is I don't want you to waste energy arguing in the meeting instead of just confirming the decision. Because then you're going to start to feel sidelined. You're going to feel left out. You're going to feel like you're a green plant in the room observing what's going on. And your peers are going to make decisions and move things forward without you. And slowly you become put aside, you become reactive instead of proactive, and that's what I want to avoid. So when you invest in the before and the after, that is where your credibility skyrockets. You are the leader who seems aligned, prepared, one step ahead. And that is what is going to build authority and credibility for you. So as a close, I want you to think about where you are over-relying on the meeting itself. And I'm not saying every single meeting is like this. I'm talking about the big, important meetings: budget, resources, organization is a big one, M&A. Those are the big ones. So I want you to start shaping the decision ahead of time, because all of those small decisions, they compound, and that is going to build your credibility. So right now I'm recording this in September, so we're heading into Q4, and this is a very big time of the year when budgets are discussed. And I don't know in your company when budgets are signed off on, but October and November was like, it seems like all we did for years would just do budget in October and November. So I have designed something very specific for you. I have designed a lab. I've called it an influence lab, 3-day influence lab. It is 3 half hours where I'm going to teach you all of this in depth so that you can influence 2026 budgets before the room. So you'll walk away from that lab with, I'm going to help you develop your case study. We're going to map stakeholders that you're going to need to seed, pre-wire, understand objections. And I'm going to help you build the confidence and the language so that you can also pitch your ideas. And so that is going to take place on October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. It will be at 1 p.m. Central European Time. I will include the link in the show notes. There is an early bird pricing until September 21st. So you want to get in on that. Otherwise, it will be full pricing. Spots are limited. Link is in the show notes. I'd love to see you there. And so that I can help you. I can help you get what you want to be in your budget for next year. I'm going to help you make that happen. So, meetings don't make decisions. Leaders do. And leaders who shape those decisions before the discussions, those are the ones who expand their authority, their credibility, and their impact. Decisions are being made every single day. The arena is yours. Step in and make it count. And we'll see you in the Influence Lab.